Hello everyone on YouTube and welcome to first of our Minecraft tutorial series. In this is going to be a two-parter. This is going to teach you how to build a water elevator extending up to a mob XP farmer that can be used in easy mode, normal mode, or hard mode in survival. The neat things about tutorials that I'm going to do on my channel is that I don't use creative mode and try to guess at the number of items being used. I show you the items being used, how we use them, and where we use them at. That way you can build along with it if you want to, or you can use these tips and tricks as your gateway to completing your builds on your own survival save. What you see here is the entire project complete, but we're going to focus right now on the water elevator. Here's how you determine how many pieces of material you will need for your build. First, you want to determine your Y level. You can accomplish this by pressing the F3 key and looking at the XYZ coordinates about the middle left side of your screen. Upon determining that, you want to be able to go at least 128 blocks higher than that, because that is the length that you have to travel for mobs to despawn from your current location. Having the platform 128 plus blocks away will ensure that when you build your mob XP farmer above, that nothing but mobs in that box will spawn and not anywhere else, giving you the maximum efficiency for your XP grinder. Now, because the number of materials will change depending on what biome you're building your platform in, I will give you these calculations. 1, determine where you are standing at in the Y level that it is. 2, figure up any math for any platforms or walkways that you need leading up to the XP farmer. 3, take 128 blocks minimum and then multiply that times 6 for the number of pieces that you're going to need for each step up as you climb. You also need to factor in how many signs you are going to need based off of that, as the signs are pretty key in keeping the water in one place. That way you can use the elevator effectively. Doing the math, we have 128 times 6, which gives you 768 blocks minimum. 768 blocks is roughly 12 stacks of material. You're also going to need about 140 signs, because you need signs on the bottom and outside of the area to keep the water from getting out. And then once you get up to your platform, the platform is going to be a 12 by 12 with a block wall around. So you're going to need another 160 to 200 blocks, which is about 3 to 4 stacks. The material that you use does not matter as long as you're not using sand or granite, as that will fall. So be sure you get your material of choice, and let's get started on the build. As we get started with the build here, you can see that I'm checking the Y level. Currently seeing that it's 78. I'm using a few dirt blocks to go ahead and get the area kind of shaped out and get a walkway going out. This is a brand new world. We spawned here and we are, I got started down in the mine. I dug out what we needed material-wise. It took me a couple of hours. I went through a couple of stone pickaxes. I got enough materials, though, to fill up a couple of chests up there. If you notice here in a little bit, we're going to be going and looking for wood, because I actually forgot signs during all of this. And I'm building this off of memory. I looked up a couple of videos on YouTube, and I'm trying to figure out where I put things and how I put things and where I put them. The one thing I did bring in with creative was I brought in the bone meal and I brought in the soul sand, only because we haven't gone to the nether yet. I am using creative in some ways as well as survival, only so that way we have some consistency with our builds, and I can also use it to kind of zoom out and show you like the grandiose look of whatever build that we have. So I'm looking at the water there. I point at it because you want to build this hopefully somewhere near a point of escape if you need to jump. And what we're doing is we have the walkway here, and we want to make sure that it's far away from higher peaks, and you start building it as high up as you need to go. Now, you want to build the opening entrance a couple of blocks out, because we got to put signs there in order to stop the water. And then you want to count 6 blocks. So find a place you want to be comfortable with standing on and put your blocks around. And you're going to do this all the way until you get to the Y level of your desired height. Now, what we did was we started at 78. We added 128 blocks to it. Ended up being about 206. I went to 209 because I made a bunch of signs, and we ran all the way until I ran out of signs. It doesn't really matter how high you go as long as you have enough space for your mob spawner. Now, your mob spawner is going to be a set number of height. Give me 1 second to do math real quick while we're building this wall right here up. 21. And then it goes 3, 6, 9. So it's about 31, 32-ish blocks high. So at a 256 world height, it leaves you with about 217 to work with. So I wouldn't go any higher than like 210 unless you wanted to put a 5th level or a 4th or 5th level on your mob spawner. We ended up going 3, which you'll see that in the next video. And what I've done here is I've already edited the video and put it all together. I'm just kind of giving you some commentary over top of it. That way you kind of get an idea of how the build was done and how we do things around there. Now at this point, I realized I forgot the signs. So I, being in being in survival and possibly even hardcore, if this was the instance, I decided to dig one of the areas down. Now, you can do this one of two ways. You can have a bucket of water to have and make a water elevator to go up and down from the side of the structure, or you can do this, where you cut out a part of the wall and then you just place it back as you climb back up, because you're still rebuilding the structure, but sometimes you forget something. Sometimes you forget a couple of stacks of materials. Sometimes like this, you forgot signs. And what I'm going to have to do here in the next few minutes is I don't have enough wood. So I actually end up equipping one of my axes and going out and finding wood. That way we can get the build put together. So the video is going to speed up right here. I'm going to give it a few minutes. You can listen to some music and we're going to chop some wood. Now, I tried something different with these trees. This is my first time going into the top and cutting down. I usually go to a tree and just cut right as I walk up to it and upward. But since we're in a mountainous biome, I wanted to go ahead and make use of that strategy as well, because these oak trees, they have a tendency to grow out as far as tall. And sometimes if you go into the top, you can find those side stragglers and cut them out pretty easily without too much effort. And just then I was using a shovel by accident. I sped this up, but I still wanted it to be part of the video because I want to show you guys that I do intend on getting all of my materials, legit and building it all, because I want all of you to see, if you had to do this yourself, the process is here. I don't like cheesing it in creative if I can help it. I want to show you guys the trial and tribulations of trying to do it, roughing it out in survival mode. I'm sleeping every night. The current difficulty in this world is normal. I don't have it in hardcore or hard mode. I do switch it to hard mode later to show the monster spawner. That's one advantage of having a world that I can do for YouTube video content. And I actually do end up dying later. There's some MLG water buckets I try to attempt. Stick around to the end of the video and let me know if you've seen it or not, because I want you to witness my MLG water buckets. Now, I spoiled it and said that I died, but we gave it more than one attempt. So hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the content. I'm going to go ahead and mute back up again and pick back up when we start building the actual structure itself. If you notice, we're getting the signs put together now. I went with 10 stacks, and 10 stacks gives you roughly 160, which is more than enough, but that's a nice round number. You don't want to underbuild signs, because then you're going to have to do what I just did and go back down and come back around and make things work. That was actually like 9.5 stacks. I should have went 10. But in the future, just so you guys know, I would go 10 if I were you. This is me building buckets, because we needed a few buckets. It's good to have a bucket of water with you almost at all times if you're building structure. That way you have an escape. And we use it here because you need 2 buckets of water for the mob spawner build. That is where we create an infinite water source in order to put into the alleys. So I have the water ready. We're going to rebuild back up. I'm going to leave it as we built it. And what I do here is I forget to put them out here on the sides. The reason why you want to put them right here is because it keeps the water from coming outward. If you bring the water down for the water elevator and you don't have these signs there, the water spills out. You don't want to do that. And I also count up a few tiles. This is going to be the downside I'm looking at right now. You don't want to put a sign there. You want to put one just above, because you want enough water for yourself to land when you fall the 128, 130 blocks that you come down. So you don't want to put one there. You want to go one above it and put a sign. And then you want to put one every block going up after that point. So after that, we go ahead and rebuild our dirt block. And we put everything up one block at a time. And I did this at real speed to show you guys, if you make a mistake, it's okay. And we're in this together, and we're going to build it up together. You don't have to write anything on the signs. I've seen some people write height markers, like when you get to 80 and 85 and 90. You're obviously not going to see them as you're falling down from the elevator, but it's good for when you're counting up. If you notice throughout the build, I start checking the Y often because I'm trying to get close to the top and I don't want to go too high up. 200 is usually the magic number if you're starting around Y 65, 64. But we were in a mountain biome. We started off at 78, so we had to make a few adjustments. Right now, I'm realizing that my item count on the right-hand side probably needs a background on it. This is my first time making a video like this. So be patient with me as we're still working on production quality and how I should present lists and send them out to you guys. I should really speed this part up, but I guess I did it to show kind of a realism, to show you guys that I'm serious about putting out this content. Roughing it out in survival mode. Sleeping every night. The reason why I sleep every night is to keep monsters from spawning. If you stay up for too many nights in a row, you get phantoms coming after you. This world is going to be the world that I kind of do tutorials on. What inspired me to do these tutorials is I've been watching a few tutorials on a couple of builds, and everybody does them in creative, and they always tell you, oh, you need this, this, and this. And you always end up building what they tell you to build. Then they pull out some secret surprise stuff along the way. They're like, oh, well, make sure you have a couple of buckets of water on you. It's like, but wait, you didn't say that before. You told me I only needed 2, and now here you are with like 4. You didn't build an infinite water source. You're just using them all willy-nilly. Or they'll pull out like a ladder and be like, make sure you use a ladder here. And it's like, well, wait, I didn't know anything about a ladder. You didn't have this in your build count. So from here, what I have found is going 2 blocks high and then putting signs is a good way to kind of get a rhythm going and a pattern. So you go up one area, 2 area, and then you put down 2 signs. And if you notice, we're building this out of a hodgepodge of materials. And the reason being is because this is, if you want to kind of min-max in the best way possible, you want to build this as early as possible. And you're going to use all the materials that you've gathered thus far. So we've got it out of dirt, we have diorite, we have andesite, we pull out granite here in just a minute, and then we move to our cobblestone. Obviously, cobblestone is going to be your most plentiful material because you're going to encounter that most while you're in the mines. One thing people do, if you end up in a beach biome and you build over an ocean, which is ideal, some people like to put glass around the walls. And if you have a very large quantity of sand, it's actually beneficial to build shovels because shovels require less stone than pickaxes. And you can get more sand that way. You just have to burn through a lot of coal and or whatever you're using to fuel your furnaces, whether it be kelp or bamboo or whatever you spawn next to. And you can use glass instead. The only problem with glass that I haven't really encountered, but I'm kind of afraid of, is that glass will eventually put light up into the darker area of the monster spawner, and it may have an effect on how the monsters spawn. I don't know. I haven't really tested it out myself. I don't want to. It's better to use opaque blocks, such as this, in order to get your build across. So we're going to get this finished here. I think it's going to speed up here in just a minute, and then we're going to be building our platform afterwards. Now, I think so I do run short of material because I have everything on me except for cobblestone. So what we end up doing is we end up doing a water elevator, and then I end up having to build another leg to get back up because I ended up taking the water back up with a bucket and not leaving it there to climb back up. This is the sped up footage here. This is us working our way around. And then I reach a point where this granite runs out. And if you don't know how to grab a stack, if you point at a material that you know you have in your inventory and middle click your mouse button, it'll actually grab some more of that material and put it in your hand. So here's what the bucket of water is for. I would suggest leaving it there, but I scoop it up. Just kind of hop in it and write it down. Make sure your face is faced outward. That way you don't, drown. You don't want to drown yourself. That would be unfortunate. But if I had left that water there, I could have went up and down it without having to worry about building the pillar that I build here in a minute. But I do grab some more material. We do have plenty of materials to finish the build. I try to do a whole chest full of cobblestone, which is 54 stacks. 54 times 64 is a little over like 3,300 pieces. I think that's enough to build everything. We're going to break down the math for the monster spawner in the next video. For now, I wanted to break this up into smaller chunks that could be absorbed and consumed by you guys, because I don't want to do like a 1 hour video. I want to do 2 30-minute videos. That way they're easier to watch. If you guys have made it this far and you want to support the channel, be sure to subscribe, like the video, and leave any comments on what you want to see as far as Minecraft tutorials are concerned. I know this is a popular one because I build it a lot. That was me punching a brick to show you that I'm not in creative mode, because if you're in creative and you left click a block, it breaks it automatically. I kind of did that as almost like Inception when I spin the top to make sure that you're not in a dream. So I've grabbed my material. We're climbing up. I should have really sped through this too, but I didn't. And I left the noise of the game there so you can hear the blocks being placed. That way, you know that I was sitting here. I did this all. I try to do this all for you guys as often as possible. I enjoy playing Minecraft. I enjoy building things. I enjoy helping others. It's a lot of fun. Those are clouds. I have a fear of heights. So usually once we reach like the cloud line, I start to freak out and get a little nervous about things. Fortunately, I was by myself here and I wasn't streaming this, so I didn't have to vocalize my fear of heights. But I'm doing it now because it's just something I always remind myself of, because I'm really high up. Now, I do continue building with the 6 blocks, but I always add one there for the pillar, because the goal is to take the pillar down after we get up to the top. And we're at 178, so I figure another 30 blocks, half of a stack to bring that up to speed will be fine. You don't have to build this pillar. I'm merely building it, that way I can bring it back down after we get to the top. So I sped this up. You can see it's climbing. I'm going to check the F3, the Y coordinate a few more times to make sure everything's good. There's a couple of times where I screw up and I put a torch down, or I build an extra block and I got to break it. You always want to make sure, I come from an estimating background, construction. You always want to make sure you have some waste blocks with you. I would add about 5%, maybe like a half a stack or another stack, just in case. Just as kind of like oopsie insurance. Checking my Y there, we're at 193. So usually at 190 I'll count. But I noticed we only had like 14 signs left. So I was like, okay, we're just going to run the signs out. And if nothing worked after that, then nothing works after that. And building an extra block there on the pillar. I noticed we're at 201. So I've just made a decision to just go ahead and just sign the rest of it up. I was going to stop at 205. 128 blocks would have been 206. We would have been one shy of the despawn range. But I'm merely building this just for a tutorial. We might make use of it, though. This might be a world that we'd be in here for a long term for. That we might be in here for a long term. I misspoke. I apologize. So now that we've reached the top, what you want to do is you want to build this block 6 total out, but count to 5. So that's 3, 4, and then 5. 6 total. Make it 2 wide. And then I like to go out 5 from each side. And that makes us our 12 wide platform. The 12 by 12 platform is going to be there to house the place where you stand for killing the mobs, for storage, for the items that they drop. You're going to have an initial storage that they fall into. Then you want to have a side storage. And then I have up there 16 stacks of material. If you just build this, you're going to have a few stacks left over, only because I've got figured in there for the enchantment table. Now, what I'm doing here is something I do when I build my hardcore worlds. I put a roof on this area because you kind of tend to bounce when you come out of that water elevator when it's bubbly. And I don't want to bounce and fall off the cliff. So I built an enclosure over top to kind of keep myself protected when I come up on the water elevator. You don't have to build that if you don't want to, if you're just in a normal world. But I like to do that, and then I bridge it out like that. That way it kind of steps down, and I can get back up there if I need to retorch or add to it or take away from it. Now, we've gone 5 on each side, so this is a 12 wide piece of area that we have here. I'm putting the wall up now I like putting the wall up at the same time. I edge the entire platform and then I fill it in the middle. So the way I did the math on that, you've got 12 by 12, which is 144. And then I put 3 sides at 13. I should have done a 4th side because we've got the edges coming up and around, but I forgot to do that. I always go heavy on my stacks though. I round up. So if I get 12.2 stacks, I round up to 13. 1/4 of a stack is about 16 blocks. So if I add another 48, then it gives us enough insurance when I miss little peaks and corners like that. And you can make your areas as detailed as possible or as you want to. You don't have to build them basic. I keep mine rather basic and I use whatever materials I want because I don't care how it looks at the end of the day. That was me making sure. I try to count blocks. I'm getting better and better at counting blocks without having to like measure out and fill from the back and work my way forward. So I was working on my skill of doing that while I was by myself teetering at Y209 building a platform. You can see the whole world around. I was looking for a village while I was up here because I want to do a villager farm and I want to do an iron farm. Those are fun and easy to do. I'm actually going to do different types of them. That way you guys can pick and choose which one you want. Now from here I'm filling in. I like to go 4 blocks out. Some people go 3, some people go 2. It depends on what your comfort level is. I'm holding shift the entire time. Shift allows you to walk to an edge of or crouching allows you to walk to an edge of a block without falling off. And in my hardcore worlds, if you ever watch me live stream my hardcore, I live crouched 99% of the time. Even when I'm in the nether, I'm like crouched most of the time. It gets me in trouble a lot. So this is our platform. This is where the magic is going to happen. This is where we can set up and start setting up the platform for the mob spawner and getting the chest down. I think I start putting all the blocks up, but then I end the video because I want to continue that in the second half. We're going to be on the same platform. I built it all and recorded it all at the same time. Torches are really important. It keeps the monsters from spawning. So you want to put yourself a few torches around there. It's optional. You don't have to. That's why I didn't put them in the materials list. If you're in hardcore, I suggest torching. You want to make sure that you keep yourself, fail safe. There shouldn't be any monsters that spawn there in the middle. And then I like to go to the straight back, count 2 blocks out, and then set up a group of 4 here. And that's where we start our chests. Now, I build out from there to kind of set the stairs up and everything once we get the mob spawner working. Right there. Because we get the stairs up and walk up. And I think I went out too, and I wasn't supposed to. Yeah, you're not? I don't think I did right now. I'm setting up a chest. And what this chest is going to do is this is going to put all the materials in there for the mob spawner later. That way we can make full use of our inventory and still move around the world. Now, I put both buckets there, but realized I needed one to go ahead and make the water for this elevator. The way the water elevator works is you have to make all of these water source blocks. Now, the only source block you have is the one that we put there at the top. I'm giving a minute for the water to run down. I'm looking around, looking for a village at this time. Kind of showing you guys what to look out for, how to look out for, because if you need an emergency way to get down, you want to get down the way you came up the neck of the elevator, because it goes down to the world. So halfway down, you want to hug the water and slow yourself down. You can see the bottom of the ground there, but you can't splash all the way down. So I'm kind of tucking in and out. We splash down. I'm going to grab the rest of the material, the slabs, the hoppers, and everything to get prepped. These materials will be listed in the build in the next video. You don't have to worry about them right now, but you can jot them down if you wish. We're going to do all the math just like we did earlier and figure everything up. Now, this is me manually going up and down the elevator. If you do not have access to the nether and you don't want to go the soul sand route, you can totally and 100% do this. You can even build a ladder if you want to. It's all optional, but having the water elevator there is great for when you do get it functional. I think I use it manually a few times up and down because I have to, because I was contemplating whether or not I really wanted to go to the nether or if I just wanted to creative it in. That way we had it just to show you how to do it. To get the bone meal, you want to, either get a pair of shears and cut leaves off of trees and mulch them in the composter, or just build a massive garden and mulch the extra seeds that you have. The wheat farm is the best way to go because it also gives you food and it also gives you a way to feed cows. Cows are integral part of the early game in Minecraft because it lets you make books. It kind of turns into a faux leather farm. So here we are. It's nighttime. We're going to sleep. You want to sleep often? Don't know how much I can stress that, especially in hardcore. This is us just delivering materials, making sure we have everything put away. The slabs are for the roof of the monster spawner, but we'll cover that, like I said, in the next video. This is me getting cheeky of how far I can fall down. Because I was thinking, this is normal mode. If I die, it won't be a bad thing, right? This is my bone meal and kelp and soul sand. So what we do here is you want to dig out the soul sand underneath where the water is. And put soul sand there. Soul sand turns source water blocks into bubbles, but you need kelp here because every time you put kelp in, it turns that into a water source block. And if you notice, it raises the water up. That allows us to fall and catch us when we come down a long way. I even test it out right here. I climb up 15, 20 blocks and drop, and boom, we're protected. Bone meal allows the kelp to grow. If you want to have just stacks of kelp yourself, you can and just climb up and do manually one piece at a time. Or you can do bone meal. Bone meal, you just right click and hold, and as long as there's space for it to grow, it keeps adding to it and grows it up. So we've got bone meal going up. I think this takes just shy of 2 stacks, only because we're going pretty high up, but we're already pretty high already. And I used 2 pieces of kelp in the onset because I actually found that kelp. Nope, it used a little over 2 stacks. So then what happens is once you get that set up, you break the kelp. You can collect the pieces if you want to. You can feed them back into the composter to get more bone meal if you're growing plants. And then you can see the aerator there. Our bubbles will get replenished. We can fly all the way up to the top. This is a super helpful water elevator. You can use this in any application. You can use it in your home base. You can use it here on the monster spawner like I did to travel blocks very quickly. It bounces you up at the top there like I show you and keeps you from going back down. We move the rest of our material in here or what material that we can move. And then I test it by jumping down to grab the rest of the kelp. And splash. The clouds always scare me like it's the bottom of the platform, but it's not. I tested it a few more times. I show you that if you fall out, you just fall right back down again. This is a 100% safe and closed-in water elevator. It's beautiful. Tried and true. Now I just remembered I had that pillar there that we have to tear down. So I climb up to the top and we tear down the pillar. Because I was like, damn, I forgot. So we have to hop over there and take that down. That way the structure actually looks pretty sound and pretty normal. Now the reason why I built it up was for this function here. As we come down with it, we should collect every single block. It shouldn't be a bad thing. This takes a minute. I didn't speed this up because I want you guys to just kind of feel the air in my ways. I want you to gruel through it with me. You can skip through this part of the video if you want to. It doesn't matter. The water elevator is built. If you guys have any questions about your water elevator build, feel free to let me know. I kind of enjoy cobbling it together with a bunch of different colored rocks. It makes it look really neat and kind of organic. I've went and sourced all these blocks myself. You can tell because I, shaped it together the way I did. If I had used one block, if you notice the fancy Minecraft tutorial givers, they always have that fancy, everything's made out of like chiseled cut stone or nether brick or something crazy. I like to do the basics because this is how your world's going to look. You don't want to wait until you've cooked a ton of stone and turn it all into brick, and it takes way too long to get to this point. I like to rush this as fast as possible. I think the quickest I've had one of these up is about an hour and a half, 2 hours into a world. Depends on how fast you get to diamonds. You really don't want to cut a lot of diamond until you get looting 3 on a pickaxe. But sometimes if you hit like a node early, you want to build that early pickaxe. That way it gives you the advantage of cutting really, really fast. This took me about 4 hours to cut up because I found diamond and I made a pickaxe, but it wasn't until like way later. And it took us a little bit to cut things up. So if you notice, I'm still rocking stone here. Or it's not stone, iron, because I want to show you guys what to do with the diamond, and we'll talk about that in the next video, of course. So this is me taking the last piece of cobblestone off. taking a step back and looking at our glorious and beautiful build. Oh, I put a wall here first. I'm all about safing an area, making sure it's nice and safe in and out from the base. Putting the kelp and bone meal in there because we don't need it anymore. We do need the bucket. We're going to go refill it because we actually use that for the monster spawn build. Because you need 2 buckets of water to create your infinite water source. I'm going to build some stairwells there to make that a little cleaner. And there it is. There's our water elevator and our platform. Thank you all for watching another video of mine here on YouTube. My name is Terahdra, and I stream on twitch.tv 5 days per week. Check the links below, find out the schedule, and hopefully I see you there. Let me know that you came from YouTube as well, wherever you are around the world, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.